Good evening and welcome to the March Recreation Commission meeting. I'd like to please note that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on Channel 18. And in accordance with the MCL Chapter 30A20, we must inquire whether anyone is taping this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known.
Yes, Sandra Merritt, recording the meeting for backup purposes for taking the minutes.
Thank you, Sandra. I'll now move on to roll call. Jim?
I am here.
Tim?
I am here.
Brendan?
I am here.
And Renee is present. Do I have any other commissioners on? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to accept the minutes from our February meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Seconded. So I'll let you have it, Tim.
Is there any discussion on our minutes? If not, I will ask for a vote. Jim?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
And Renee, yes. Those minutes have been approved. All righty, so let's move right into our new business. It is with great pleasure that I welcome Kat from AmeriCorps Cape Cod. I've had the pleasure of working with Kat with the last service day, last Martin Luther King service day, and have worked with the AmeriCorps Cape Cod in conjunction with HYCC for many years. So Kate, I'd like you to introduce yourself and give us an update on AmeriCorps Cape Cod.
Thank you, Renee. I really appreciate all of you taking the time to hear about the program. I do have a very brief PowerPoint to share with all of you in case you aren't familiar with AmeriCorps. So let me share my screen and
we can see it.
Excellent. So AmeriCorps Cape Cod is a program near and dear to my heart, as I am also an alumni. So a little bit about me. I came to the Cape as an AmeriCorps member with a desire to further my experience with environmental and natural resource management. And the program itself brings in 24 members each year, and many of them end up staying on the Cape or are from the Cape and become natural leaders within different community departments and nonprofits and things like that. And so AmeriCorps Cape Cod has a long history of providing community service to the Cape. A little bit about our mission. So our focus is on providing community service based around environmental and disaster response needs. And we recruit, as I mentioned, 24 individuals each year from varying backgrounds, many of them coming from outside of Massachusetts and committing 11 months of service to Barnstable County. And we're unique as an AmeriCorps program in that we provide residential housing for these members. So when they commit to their term of service, they do not have to worry about where they are going to stay during that time. So a little bit about the amount of service that we've provided. So the program's been around since 1999. We're gearing up to celebrate our 25th year, which is really remarkable for an AmeriCorps program. And we've contributed over $32 million in valued service across the Cape since that time. Lots of our projects center around trail creation or restoring habitat. We also work very closely with shellfish departments to help with municipal shellfish growing programs that they have. We also pride ourselves in being an instrumental part in what's called Wet Festival. And so we work with the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension to host water festivals that we bring to schools each year. And we've educated almost 60,000 individuals since 1999 about our sole source aquifer and the different ways that we can protect it. Some other highlights that we have are we bring out our environmental puppet show centered around recycling. We also have a variety of signature events. And Barnstable County AmeriCorps Cape Cod is unique in that we receive funding directly from AmeriCorps, the federal agency, but we also receive match funding from Barnstable County. So this truly is a county-run program. We also receive support from the Cape Cod National Seashore, the town of Barnstable, Chatham Conservation Foundation, and many of our service partners. And when I say funding, that also means in kind. So for instance, the town of Barnstable is generous in that it helps provide a house that is town owned that allows us to house our members here in Barnstable. And then we dedicate a certain amount of those members' service to directly serving the town of Barnstable. And we have other community partners like the Seashore and Chatham Conservation Foundation that do the same in terms of being a housing partner for us. So that is how we're able to provide that housing option for our members. So some things that tie along to the federal grant award that we have to show our impact by performance measures. We have to improve 200 acres of land each year. We have to improve or create 80 miles of trails or improving beaches and such. We also have to assist 250 individuals through disaster preparedness and response. And we have to also leverage 400 volunteers. So for that example, we work with nonprofit organizations like local land trusts and other town entities to recruit volunteers to help them further their activities. So high level look, a lot of our activities focus on the land and water management side. But last year, we were integral in staffing the emergency shelter operations that happened after the large storm in January. All of our members ended up supporting the 3 emergency shelters over the span of 3 days. And so our members receive a very unique and diverse experience here at AmeriCorps Cape Cod. And through all of that, we provide them with all the training they need to be successful and also to grow as professionals. Each week looks a little bit different for our members. So our program structure, after we get through 5 to 6 weeks of orientation, includes a Monday and Friday group service. So our members are going out working with our community service partners to tackle some of the bigger scale projects like habitat restoration at Herring River up in Wellfleet, or even helping out at Meeting House Farm, which was our group service project today, where they were helping spruce up the garden area. Then our members are placed individually with community partners Tuesday through Thursday, and they're working on individualized special projects for those partners that range anywhere from outreach and education to monitoring water quality and going out and recruiting volunteers, like I mentioned before. So part of our term of service, which we'll talk a little bit about in a few minutes, is that we have signature events that we focus on, like Martin Luther King Day of Service that Renee was so helpful and instrumental in helping us with this year. We have AmeriCorps Week, which is coming up next week, which will be very exciting. We're focusing on revitalizing outdoor nature's classroom areas, specifically in Eastham and then up at the Truro Children's Community Garden. Then we center our focus on National Volunteer Week that culminates in our Cape Cod Canal cleanup, which has been going on for 22 years, where we recruit hundreds of volunteers on Earth Day to go and clean up the canal right as the season opens. And then finally, a new initiative from AmeriCorps, the agency, is to focus on 9/11 Day of Service. And so last year we volunteered with the Veterans Outreach Program, for the Stand Down for Veterans event. So we have lots of different signature events that we plan on each year. And what's special about these events is that we are able to go outside of our focus areas to help do a little bit more community service on a human service-based need, like what happened with Martin Luther King Day. So Martin Luther King Day 2023 was a really great day, even though the weather was kind of crummy. We engaged over 30 volunteers to help us lead healthy eating and gardening activities. We also had about 70 participants show up that day, which was really exciting. As part of that event, we had a main focus of educating others about healthy lifestyles and sustainability, but we also incorporated a food and clothing drive where our members and volunteers collected over 350 items that were distributed out to local food pantries. And so it was a really fun day where we were able to receive some funding from the United Way and Cape Cod 5 Foundation, and that allowed us to feed all of our volunteers and participants. It also allowed us to purchase take-home garden kits for everybody that participated in that day. We had lots of different children's activities, including our Green Ribbon Puppet Show, and it was just an overall really good feeling day because the program was really impacted by COVID. And it was very challenging to host a community event like this during that time. And the year before, we had centered everything around doing a Cape-wide beach cleanup, which is nice, but it was pretty cold in January for a beach cleanup. This event was an opportunity for us to bring back the true community feel of MLK Day, Day of Service. And I was really excited that we were able to reconnect with CORD and host it here at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center and just engage with a lot of different organizations like the Nutritional Food Program at the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension. So, like I mentioned before, we are in the midst of recruiting for year 25. A little bit about what our members receive if they commit to a term of service with us. They receive housing, they receive a living allowance, they are able to defer their student loans until the end of the term of service. At that point, if they successfully complete their term of service, they'll receive $6,895 to put towards either future education or to pay back student loans. They receive a variety of different certifications from CPR first aid and stop the bleed to wildfire mitigation training that we work on with Mass Department of Conservation and Recreation. We work very hard to ensure that our members feel that they're growing professionally. So we provide them a lot of opportunities to learn about other professions and to network with others. And so that's another sort of like indirect benefit that they end up receiving from the program itself. And we're going to be participating in the Barnstable Youth Commission job fair. We recruit anyone who is 18 and over. And if they turn out to be a good fit, then we will place them in our year 25 cohort, which is really exciting. So if you happen to know anyone that might be interested in committing to a term of service that's centered around the environment or disaster preparedness, or even if they're not necessarily interested in that, but just looking to gain experience, I have my contact information here. And if you scan that QR code, it'll take you right to our application. And so that's just a little bit about the program. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. This is last year's core out down in Falmouth doing some habitat restoration. And so I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
How many more members are you looking for?
So we are recruiting 24 members that would start in September.
Okay.
And Kat, you mentioned some of your upcoming events. How might someone who's interested in volunteering for those events sign up?
Sure. So the events around AmeriCorps Week are actually limited because we'll be working within some schools. And if you were interested in volunteering, you could contact me directly. For Canal Cleanup, we're going to be opening up registration, and that event will occur on April 22nd. It'll be from 10 to 2 down at the Herring Run Recreation Area on the canal. And so you can sign up ahead of time, or you can join us the day of and just walk right in.
Excellent.
Is there a minimum age, Catherine?
Yes, the minimum age is 18.
18. Thank you.
That's for AmeriCorps, not to volunteer, correct?
Right.
And so, Tim, I'm glad you asked the question, because very often on events like the canal cleanup, teams of all types, athletic teams, after school teams come together and actually use it as a team building volunteer activity.
Kat, I don't have a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a teacher and I witnessed Wet Fest in action at our school this year, and it was incredible. I enjoyed talking to the AmeriCorps members that were there, and the kids enjoyed it. The teachers loved it. It was very well run. So kudos to you guys.
Oh, I really appreciate that. This was we were hoping for that results because this is our first year back in person with Wet Fest.
It was awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Kat, I have another question for you. The amazing environmental puppet show, is that something that a local school could schedule to host at their school location?
Yes, absolutely. So we have group service applications on our website at AmeriCorpsCapeCod.gov, and you can go and apply for group service and specify that you would like to have the puppet show. Sometimes it's challenging. Right now we have a smaller core size. Recruitment last year was really challenging. So we have 10 members, and that can be a little bit difficult to operate the puppet show, but we were able to make it happen for MLK Day, and I'm sure we can make it happen if we plan ahead.
Thank you. Any other questions from our commissioners? Well, Kat, I'd like to thank you again for joining us, and thank you for also participating in the youth job fair that's coming up this week later. Next. Yeah,
Wonderful.
It's coming up very close.
It's 2 days from now.
Thank you so much. And if there aren't any other questions, you're welcome to stay on. But I just am so glad you were able to join us today and share an update on AmeriCorps Cape Cod.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And if you need my contact information, I'll just drop it in the chat. And I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to my spiel about AmeriCorps. So have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you. All righty. So we're going to move right along to the Youth Commission report. And I see that Connor is with us. So let me pass that over to Connor.
Hello, I'm here too. I am Jaden. Sorry if my audio's bad. That just happened. I don't really know what happened. But as she just mentioned, we have the job fair in 2 days at Wednesday. And that will be from 2:30 to 5:30, I believe. Some of us will be there at 12:30 to help set it up and all that. We have, I believe, 39 last time I heard. The number might be higher, jobs or businesses that are attempting to hire. And it's businesses from all over Cape Cod, ranging from Falmouth to Barnstable, just everywhere. And we also have buses that are coming from Barnstable High School. So a lot of the students will get direct transport straight from Barnstable over to the rec. Connor?
Yeah, so we also just got asked by BHS to help with suicide and depression prevention event that they're doing at BHS. So 2 of our members are meeting with the BHS principal tomorrow, and that is with 8th, 10th, and 12th graders, and it's this month. So we're thinking about helping BHS with that, and that's really all we have for now.
Thank you, Jaden and Connor. Do I have any questions from our commissioners?
Not a question, but I wish you guys the best of luck on Wednesday. I know that's a big program that you guys put on, and excited for you that it's finally here, and hopefully a bunch of kids get hired.
Thank you so much. That's the plan.
Jaden and Connor, I want you to, if you can, in addition to all of the future employers that will be participating, there are a number of workshops that will be held throughout the day. Can you give just a brief description of those workshops?
One of them, I believe, is the job coaching room.
Yes.
And that last year it didn't get a lot of traction, but this year we're going to direct people towards that room. And it's to help people with like their lives, balancing work, balancing school, like all the, you know, how their employees should be treating them, stuff like that. Just how a young person should be dealing with work along with school and other stuff.
Thank you. So again, in addition to employers, there are some workshops on job readiness for our youth, and we're expecting great numbers. The weather looks great for that day. And are there any other questions before we let Jaden and Connor take off? All righty, so one more public announcement. The date is Wednesday, this Wednesday, March is that the 9th? And it is from 2:30 to 5:30 at the Hyannis Youth and Commission. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best. I will definitely drop by, and I hope that if the recreation commissioners are around, they can also stop by to give our support for this great event. All righty, thank you so much. We're gonna move on to our next agenda item, and that will be John giving us a recreation staff report update.
All right, good evening, everyone. The Youth Commission didn't mention, which I should have highlighted when they were on, they did attend the last town council meeting and gave a presentation to all the town council members in the community of all that they're doing for the year. So they did a great job with that. If you want to just check out the last town council meeting on demand on channel 18, you could watch their presentation. They did a good job. Kind of a recap of this this past month. At the very beginning of the month, we did have a follow-up meeting from our community meeting regarding the Centerville playground. If you guys remember, that was on January 31st at Town Hall. I think the next day, I believe, we had just an informal meeting to kind of discuss all the comments from the meeting and to kind of progress forward with the Centerville playground. Talking to Jim just before this, kind of waiting on the next steps from DPW to kind of get together again and keep the ball rolling on this playground. Also kind of towards the beginning of the month, we had a girls recreation basketball night at Barnstable High School. The high school has always been a great partner of ours, and our recreation girls were able to attend a night to watch the girls play. They played Nauset, and it was a great game, which Barnstable won. So it was always nice for the girls to attend a game. And on top of that, to see the girls win, so they can look up to those players and want to become those players in the near future. This past month, I met with the Barnstable Land Trust, so kind of a tie to AmeriCorps, talking about trails and all the opportunities there are in town to highlight trails and get people out walking those trails. So I want to start working more with our conservation department and getting the word out about trails, because we kind of focus on STEM programs, sports, those sort of things. We don't really highlight trails as much as we should. So I really want to start pushing that out to the community from our aspect to get families and people out there walking more. and seeing all of what Barnstable has to offer. We partnered with the Planning and Developing Department, where they are working on a local comprehensive plan, and they wanted to hold a meeting and have parents show up to the meeting, but they wanted to make sure that we had some childcare or some support so parents could attend the meeting and not miss out. So we provided a staff member, Jackie, to be there if any kids arrive, to do arts and crafts, games, watch a movie. Unfortunately, no parents showed up with kids, but it was a start of a conversation where we could possibly work with them to offer these services so parents can attend these meetings and not have to pay for daycare. So hopefully we work on that more in the future. I work closely, along with Mark, we work closely with the athletic directors at SJP and Sturgis, and I met with them about their use of athletic fields for the spring. So I just made sure that they were all set, they had permits, and they were ready to go for their lacrosse, softball, baseball seasons that they'll be in track and field that they'll be using our fields for. Met with Barnstable Pickleball. So there's still some funds left in the project for the facility. So they just wanted to meet with me to see what else we could possibly add to the facility. And just kind of go over some stuff for the summertime when their demand is at the highest, and how can we accommodate as many players as we can. So it was nice to meet with them. And while I was on vacation, George met and did the Inside Barnstable Town Government. I know, Renee, you talked about that glowingly. So I unfortunately had to miss it. I was in Florida, it's sunny weather, so I couldn't spend the time with everyone. But I heard George did a great job and gave just information about our division and all that we do. So that went really well. Moving on to aquatics. Again, I cannot stress enough that people take the time to log online or to come into our facility and get a mail-in application or download one on their computer at home. But we are looking for people to get their beach parking permits now and not at the last minute when it's nice out. Currently, we're pretty much almost up to date with all our applications, whether it's mail-in or online. I want to say online, we're less than a week out of return time. So we've been working very, very diligently on getting those out and processed, and working with people that haven't fulfilled, providing us with a car registration or something like that, or payment. But other than that, we are pretty much on cue with everything coming in. We just want more coming in so we can process it now during the cold weather season, instead of in Memorial Day weekend when it's nice and they want to go to the beach and they don't have a sticker yet. So anyone that you talk to, if they want a beach parking permit, have them start doing it now. That'd be great. We have lifeguard tryouts, which I talked about last meeting, but again, highlighting the need for lifeguards. April 29th, May 13th, June 3rd are our tryout dates. All the information to become a lifeguard is online. I do know during April vacation, the YMCA is holding a lifeguard training class. So if your child out there is interested in becoming a lifeguard and is 15 years old, they can sign up for the class and get certified. And we have jobs, which we'll be highlighting at the job fair to work for us this summer. And speaking, just in positions in general, we do have all our positions posted. We have interviews starting this month or have already started. So if your child is interested in working, as a beach aide, gate attendant, lifeguard, you name it, camp, leisure program counselor, my suggestion is to apply now. And we need to get those positions filled, and we, again, rather do that sooner than later. Recreation program wise, February is kind of like the middle of the road for most activities, but we had still a lot of things going on and a lot of planning for spring activities happening. So within that regard, our brochures were done for the spring and they were delivered out. So we have registration tomorrow on Tuesday, March 7th, and kids should have received the brochure at school through their teacher. We also email it out to all their households we have on record. So hopefully they get it one way or the other. In our planning stages for girls softball has unfortunately seen a decline over the years. So to try to increase that, we are going on the road. We have joined the Cape Cod Canal Softball League. So now the girls in our community will travel and play against, I believe, Sandwich, possibly Falmouth, Bourne, ourselves, and maybe others. But sometimes we just can't get enough Barnstable kids to form a league of our own, which we used to be able to. So now we're going to take our 2 to 3 teams and go play other communities. And we hope that that's a success and goes well. We have softball for 4th grade through 8th grade traveling wise. The younger girls will stay local and work more like on skills and development. But it's a new option for us, which we hope goes well. With all that planning, Kelly Crowley's in charge of that. So she went out and got certified in USA softball coaching. So she can take that knowledge and provide detailed lesson plans for those parents that are coaching. You know, a lot of times we rely in this regard to parent volunteers to help coach our, baseball, t-ball program, our softball program. And a lot of people think they know something about softball, but again, it's a lot different than baseball. So you might have grown up as a baseball player, but to coach softball is a little bit different. The pitching is different. Some of the way you play is different. So we're just trying to make sure that we can educate our parents to, help us coach the kids the best way possible. So when they get to the high school, they're ready for that sort of level of competition. Kelly's also in charge of our lacrosse program and getting ready for that. She works with high school students to provide this program after school. So she went out and got her level 1 and level 2 certifications, again, just to educate herself more on the sport. Usually, like when people ask about like what we do, we're, a jack of all trades, a master of none. We know a lot about a lot of different things, but we don't necessarily master one thing in particular. So we need to know a lot of things about a lot of different sports. So Kelly takes a lot of her time to kind of educate herself in the programs that she's involved in. The past couple of years, we've been fortunate enough to get a donation for the Friday Night Social. We received $2,300 from the Corson family. And they ran into our Friday Night Social at the movie theater a couple of years ago and just loved the idea of what we were doing with our special needs adult population. And so now every year they donate money to lessen the cost on us to buy the movie tickets. So every time we go to the movie theater, it doesn't cost us anything. So those participants get to go to the movies for free that week. And I believe they went this past weekend. And it didn't cost them anything to attend, which was really nice. It's just nice to have people in the community that are so generous and see all the great things that we're doing and provide that support to us. So that was very, very much appreciated. And then reciprocating back to the community, during COVID, we did the Spread the Love kind of campaign where we had all the kids while they were at home make Valentines for the older adults through the Barnstable Adult Community Center. So they have a Meals on Wheels program where people come pick up food or the food's delivered out to them. So we were able to stuff those bags with Valentine's Day cards. And we provided over 150 cards or more to the community through that. So it wasn't as big as when we started with COVID because everyone was home and they had time to do it, but we're still able to provide over 150, which was nice. And hopefully we can kind of keep that same level of cards going forward, just as a nice touch to the community. Let's see. We have another program coordinator, Jackie Keeney, who's new. So again, trying to tap into new things that we haven't been involved in. And she found this program called Women in STEM. So again, it's trying to get women and girls into activities that they don't necessarily always think of first, or maybe not have the opportunities as much as their counterpart as boys. So we'll be trying to work with them to get girls into these sort of STEM outlets or programs we'll see where that partnership goes. But she's just at the ground level of starting that partnership. And again, I mentioned we have our spring registration tomorrow. Hopefully we have good turnout. These days we see a majority of our registration online, but people are able to come in person starting at 8:45 in the morning. We take 3 or 4 people at a time and go through the line as quickly as possible. But again, a majority of the people do it at the comfort of their own home online. And then again, just as a look forward, we have our summer leisure program registration on April 11th. The registration pack should be online in our facility. So if people need those to start filling those out and getting those ready, we have those available. I think that's about it. Just looking forward to the job fair on Wednesday with the Youth Commission. Recreation has a lot of jobs ourselves, so we'll be promoting that to all the kids and just helping all the kids in general. If maybe what we have to offer isn't a fit, we'll certainly be glad to help them find some other business that they have a passion for, and hopefully get a lot of kids a lot of jobs this coming week, because I know the community definitely needs it. But that's my report. If anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to take any questions.
Thank you, John.
I've got a quick one. I had somebody reach out to me and I didn't know the answer, so I promised them I'd ask them tonight. But the pre-K age on like the spring registration, is that age 4 or can it be younger? Or like, I think it was tennis or soccer they were wondering about.
Okay, I can quickly look. Usually it's pre-K. Usually it's long as they're in a pre-kindergarten. I don't know if it's age specific. Sandra might know better with doing it into rec track, but I don't know if there's any age restriction on that.
Yeah, Jim. So in our system, we have people. Pre-K would be like a 0.25 for a grade level.
Okay.
And so it's not age specific.
Okay.
And then when they go into kindergarten, it's a 0.5 grade level, and then grade 1. So that's how the system will accept a child in. If they're not designated a particular grade in our system, then the parent would need to call us so we can
put it in, push it through.
So
okay.
That, yes, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I would venture to say that pre-K is obviously anyone 5 years old or younger that hasn't reached kindergarten yet. But I think we'd also tap into 4-year-olds at that point.
Yeah, I think this was like if they were 3, if they would qualify for pre-K.
If they are 3, I would in our brochure, it has all the contact information of who runs that program. I would have them definitely reach out to, like, if it's Kelly with tennis, or soccer, which would be Jack and Jackie, is to reach out to them specifically of exactly how old they are. And if that age requirement meets kind of that pre-K, but kind of like looking at this now, we should probably mention what the acceptable age is, because pre-K could be 2.9, 2.9 or something like that and above. So maybe it says pre-K, but in a parentheses, maybe it says age 3 and up or something. But I would definitely have them reach out to the program coordinator specifically, and they'd be glad to answer those questions.
Okay. And the second part of that was they had questioned the leisure program, what the minimum age was there.
So that is what the grade they're going into. So they have to be going into a certain grade to be enrolled. Yeah, they have to be going into, I think, kindergarten. Let me just double check. The beauty and curse of all the programs we offer and trying to memorize all the things, but I can
tell you that it's going into first grade in the fall.
Yeah,
so whatever grade they're going into in the fall, they have to be first grade.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so like when we do those sort of things, like for the summer, it's usually what grade they're going into, it makes them eligible.
Any other questions for John? Sandra, I was remiss during the presentation with AmeriCorps. We have Alyssa and Nick who joined us. Make note of that for us.
I've got that. Thank you, Renee.
All righty. So if there aren't any other questions, we're going to move on to the Hyannis Youth and Community Center staff report with Mark.
Everybody hear me all right? Because it keeps chopping up a little, so I'm going to try and get through mine.
I think you froze.
Are a little choppy.
Okay.
There we go.
While John was, I delivered the presentation for Inside Barnstable Town Government on the February 21st over February vacation. That went great. It's nice to do something in front of some engaged citizens who really are enjoyed by what it is you're delivering and doing. So that was a real neat event, and it was my first time at it, and really enjoyed it. We've been meeting with DPW and Barnstable Public Schools. We had a meeting last week. I'm not sure if everybody on the committee is aware, but there's the Family and Community Engagement Center as you walk into the HYCC on the right. We have some remodeling that we are scheduled to start this summer, which would be moving the police office to that side of the building. So we are starting meetings with them as far as modeling work. That should be done sometime in July, ending the summer, and then getting them back in that space for next school year. Also working with the Asset Management and Procurement Office to get our RFP reissued by mid-May, in hopes to get a concessionaire back into our snack bar by the start of next hockey season. So those are some big things on that radar there. On the ice front, all high school hockey has ended this past week. So frees up some time in the afternoon. We're going to try and be doing a few more things, introducing some stick practice times for the high school kids who may still want to get out on the ice. But that's kind of a start to the mark of the end of our season there, or our busy part of our season. Youth hockey is winding down as well this week, with tryouts for the next season starting next week. So our big 3 user groups will be winding down by the end of the month, or mid-April by latest. Still in the middle of booking and looking for ice clinics and camps to book into the HYCC for this summer. We have had a few that have come back, and just looking to try and get some more daytime stuff going as far as camps and clinics on that end. With the end of the season comes a big clean of the facility down below, meaning all the locker rooms, the matting gets picked up, the whole place kind of gets steam cleaned and so forth. So we're identifying some dates to start that process. By probably April vacation will start that process, but we're identifying those dates with DPW now. With registry available, as John mentioned, registration does start tomorrow morning at 8:45 over at the HYCC, and we're looking forward to getting back on the ice for those. All the Learn to Skate programs and Learn to Play Hockey are Sunday mornings. It's a 6-week course, and it starts the end of March. I think it's March 26th is the first date for the spring sessions. On the gym side, all high school basketball has ended. So that's cleaned out some nights during the week. So we get back to some more public gym sessions for the kids in the community, which we like to see. And we have some other things going on at night, but like I said, it kind of opens that gym back up and gets the local kids back in there. 2 to 3 nights out of the week. Youth basketball and volleyball groups are going well. They're in the gym a couple nights a week, and on the weekends, some of those groups are winding down, while others are kind of spinning back up for spring. So that's keeps the gym end pretty steady throughout. The second session of SOAR will be ending the end of the month, with the third and final session beginning, I believe it's the week of the 27th. or the week before, but our spring, as John mentioned, and I just did, the spring registration will start tomorrow for that. We get a lot of the same faces, but we'll also get a few new faces, and that'll be great to see in the afternoons going on. Our yoga classes have picked back up. Am I off again? Our yoga classes have picked back up to pre-COVID numbers, which is great to see. Last week, I know our chair yoga class was pretty packed, and our Tuesday community yoga class, I am hoping we can get back into the gym shortly, as they're starting to pack up the Shepley room as well. Those you do not have to sign up for, but if anybody knows anybody who's looking for yoga programs, Tuesday mornings is our community yoga, which services everybody, and that's 8:30 to 9:30. And then on Wednesdays, we have a chair yoga class, which services everybody as well, but is really geared towards those who cannot get up and down, have mobility issues. And that's Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. out of our Shepley room. And I think the last thing I had was just, again, reiterating about registration for the third session of SOAR, indoor pickleball, and that was it tonight. And I hope you all got that, because I was just trying to.
Mark, we did get that. I just have a quick question on the 2 yoga classes. Are they free to members only, or free to the community, or how does that work?
Free to all. Yep, no need for the membership. We have a great partner with Community Yoga. They come in, Yoga Neighborhood. They come in, they teach the class, and it's a great thing. It's free to all.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions for Mark? Okay. We will move along with the CPC liaison report with Jim.
So the biggest one, and Catherine was at this meeting. We voted to move to application a new playground in Osterville next to the tennis courts. So it was $900 some odd thousand for a new playground going in between the Verizon building and the tennis courts. So the tennis courts are new. The softball field there is new and beautiful. There's a nice new parking lot. So we're hoping to continue to round out that facility there and add that playground. Would be a really nice add. Another one not at a school, which is hugely important, where like Luke's Love in West Barnstable is getting so much use that we are now having to patch the poured in place rubber. So hopefully to try to take some of the strain off that, this one will get through. I think they're targeting end of 24 for construction, if I remember correctly, but it'd be a nice addition. And that's the rec updates. There's some other projects going on, but that's the big rec one.
That is excellent news about the Osterville playground. Any other questions from our commissioners? All right, hearing none, I will see if there are any matters not reasonably anticipated for this meeting. Are there any public comments? I would like to just make a public comment. I'd like to ask for a moment of recognition for a champion for our youth in our community, Mr. John Reed. He was an educator, a mentor, an activist, all-around family member. He also managed the center, the Multicultural Resource Room, which is now the Family Engagement Center. So if we could just take a moment to recognize Mr. Reed, who we recently lost. Thank you. There will be a celebration of Mr. Reed's amazing life on Cape Cod on Saturday, April the 29th at the high school. More details will follow. Let's move on to see if there are any agenda items that any of the commissioners would like to recommend for our April meeting. If you have any items that you'd like to recommend, please reach out to myself or John. And John, you and I can have a discussion on who we might bring in for the April meeting.
Sounds good.
All righty. So with that, I would ask for adjournment of this meeting.
I will make that motion.
A second.
Second.
All righty, I'll do a quick roll call. Alyssa?
Hi, yes. Sorry, I'm so new to this. I don't know how all this protocol stuff goes. I apologize.
That's okay. Jim?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Brendan?
Brendan votes yes.
And I'll say Nick. I'm not even sure if I should, but Nick, thank you as always for making it, taking the time to join us as our representative from the town council. I really appreciate that, Nick. All righty, so our next meeting will be on Monday, April the 3rd, and we will have a new recreation commissioner that will be joining us. Without any further ado, that closes our monthly meeting. So thank you everyone for joining, and I look forward to seeing you in April.